I logged into my Google admin console at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I couldn't sleep. My daughter Sarah had been acting strange for 3 weeks to helpful, to concerned, to present. The screen glowed in my dark home office. I clicked user activity, and what I saw in those search results made my hands shake so badly. I almost dropped my coffee mug. How to declare someone mentally incompetent. Sarah had searched that phrase 47 times in the past month. My name is Grace Mitchell. I'm 68 years old. I taught computer science at Stanford for 33 years before retiring 5 years ago. And I'm about to tell you how my own daughter tried to steal my house using Google searches. And how every single search, every email, every document they created became the evidence that destroyed them. But let me back up, because the story actually started 3 years earlier, when I did something my daughter thought was cute. Mom, you don't need to manage all this tech stuff yourself, Sarah had said, watching me set up a Google Workspace family plan. You're retired, relax, I smiled at her. Honey, I taught network administration for 2 decades. I think I can handle a family Google account, she laughed, patted my hand. That patronizing laugh that said, sure, Mom, whatever makes you feel useful. What Sarah didn't understand, what she never bothered to learn, was that when you create a Google Workspace family account, someone has to be the administrator, and the administrator can see everything, every search, every email, every document stored in Google Drive, every calendar appointment, every location check and everything. I set up accounts for Sarah, her husband Marcus, and even their 2 kids, my grandchildren Emma and Jake. I paid them monthly fee. I managed the passwords. I was the digital matriarch of our little cloud family. This is so convenient, Mom, Marcus had said when I showed them how to share photos and calendars. Thanks for setting this up, of course, sweetheart, I replied. He called me Mom, back then. I thought it was sweet. I stared at that search query. 47 times. Not once, not twice. 47 deliberate searches. How to declare someone mentally incompetent. My finger hovered over the mouse. Click. The search history expanded. June 3, 10:23 p.m. How to declare someone mentally incompetent. June 3, 10:31 p.m. Signs of dementia in elderly women. June 3, 10:45 p.m. Legal guardianship process, California. June 4, 7:15 a.m. Forging signature on legal documents penalty. June 4, 7:18 a.m. How to forge signature without getting caught. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. This wasn't curiosity. This wasn't research for a novel or a hypothetical question. This was a plan. I clicked on Marcus's account next. June 4, 8:30 p.m. Senior citizen guardianship loopholes. June 4, 8:47 p.m. Elderly parent refuses to sign power of attorney. June 4, 9:12 p.m. How much does guardianship lawyer cost, California? June 5, 11:03 a.m. Sell house when owner has dementia. My house. They were planning to take my house. I built this house. Designed it myself when I was 43 years old. Every window placement, every solar panel angle, every smart home system. I coded some of the automation myself. This wasn't just a house. This was my legacy. And my daughter was Googling how to steal it. Asterisk, but those searches were just the beginning. Because when I clicked on Sarah's Gmail, something I'd never done before, something that felt like a violation even though I technically had access, I found the emails. The first one was from June 6th, sent at 2:47 p.m. From Sarah Mitchell Reynolds to Marcus Reynolds. Subject, Mom up to Marcus. I watched her try to pay for groceries today. She stood at the register for almost 3 minutes just staring at her credit card. The cashier had to help her put it in the reader. I think it's time. Let's call that lawyer Dr. Patterson recommended. I read that email 4 times. Because I remembered that day at Whole Foods. I remembered standing at that register. And what Sarah described as dementia was actually me checking my phone because I'd gotten an urgent text from my former department head about a security vulnerability in the universities. NETWORKID been consulting remotely for $300 an hour. The cashier hadn't helped me with my card. She'd made small talk while I finished reading the text and typed a quick response. But Sarah had seen what she wanted to see. Or worse, she created a story she needed to be true. Asterisk, I scrolled through more emails. June 8th, 6:33 a.m. From Marcus Reynolds to Sarah Mitchell Reynolds. Subject, Ray. Mom up to agree. Patterson's lawyer is expensive, but he said it's worth it. If we can get conservatorship, we can sell the house before she donates it all to some charity like she keeps threatening. House is worth $2.8 million. Even after fees, we're looking at $2.3 million. Split with your brother equals $1.15 million each. Emma's college fund solved. Plus, we can move Mom to that nice facility in San Jose. When they single quotes decalculated it. Down to the dollar. Emma's college fund. My house, my life. All itemized in a spreadsheet of betrayal. And my son wasn't on it too. Asterisk, I should have confronted them right then. But I didn't. Because something my father taught me when I was young suddenly echoed in my mind. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And document everything. So I started documenting. I created a folder on my desktop. Evidence. June 2024. I took screenshots of every search query. I exported every email. I saved every Google Doc they created, and there were documents. Oh, there were documents. One was titled Mom's Decline, timeline.docx. I opened it. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set down my coffee. Asterisk Mom's Decline, timeline prepared by Sarah Mitchell Reynolds and Marcus Reynolds, May 15, 2024. Mom forgot Emma's birthday dinner. Called at 8 p.m. asking where everyone was. Dinner was at 6 p.m. Clear sign of memory loss. I stopped reading. Because I hadn't forgotten Emma's birthday. Dinner. Emma's birthday was May 18th. The dinner Sarah was referring to was a casual family dinner on May 15th that she'd mentioned. In passing during a phone call, she'd said, maybe we'll do something next week. I'd said, sounds great. Let me know the details. She never sent details. Never confirmed a time. Never sent a calendar invite. But in this document, I'd forgotten a confirmed dinner. I'd exhibited clear signs of memory loss. I kept reading. May 22nd, 2024. Mom called me 3 times in 1 hour asking if I'd talked to Dad. Dad passed away in 2019. Significant confusion about deceased family members. I actually gasped out loud. I called Sarah 3 times on May 22nd. That was true. But I was calling about my father's estate. Because we'd finally received the final documents from the probate court 5 years after his death. I was calling to ask if she'd talked to Dad's lawyer, Mr. Davidson, who'd been handling the estate. Not my deceased father. His lawyer, but they'd twisted it. Documented it. Created a narrative where I was confused, declining, incompetent. Asterisk, the timeline document was 15 pages long. 15 pages of carefully constructed lies, half-truths, and deliberate misinterpretations of normal behavior. June 1st, 2024. Mom tried to pay her electric bill twice. When I asked about it, she got defensive and confused. Possible financial mismanagement. I paid my electric bill on June 1st. Then PG, and he sent me a notification that the payment hadn't processed due to a bank error. So I paid it again. That's not financial mismanagement. That's resolving a technical glitch. June 4th, 2024. Found Mom wandering in the backyard at midnight in her nightgown. She claimed she was checking the solar panels but seemed disoriented. I was checking the solar panels because I gotten an alert on my phone that the system efficiency had dropped by 12%. I went outside fully dressed in yoga pants and a t-shirt, not a nightgown, and discovered that a tree branch had fallen on the northwest panel array. I texted Sarah about it the next morning. She responded, glad you're okay, Mom. No mention of concern. No mention of disorientation. But in this document, I was wandering. I was disoriented. I was exhibiting nighttime confusion, a classic sign of dementia. Every normal action reframed as a symptom. Every reasonable explanation ignored. Asterisk, I scrolled to the bottom of the document. There was a section titled Next Steps. 1. Consult with Dr. Raymond Patterson. Done. To hire conservatorship attorney. In progress. Meeting scheduled June 12. 3. Gather medical documentation. In progress. 4. File petition with court. Target date June 20th. 5. Secure guardianship. Target date July 15th. 6. List house with Keller Williams. Target date August 1st. They had a timeline. A project plan. A Gantt chart for stealing my life. Asterisk. I clicked back to the Gmail interface. Searched for Dr. Patterson. 23 emails. The first one was from May 30th. From Dr. Raymond Patterson to Sarah Mitchell Reynolds. Subject: Your mother's consultation, Sarah. Thank you for bringing your concerns about your mother to my attention. While I cannot provide a formal diagnosis without examining her myself, the symptoms you describe, memory lapses, confusion about dates, potential financial mismanagement, nighttime wandering, are consistent with early-stage cognitive decline. I recommend you consult with an elder law attorney as soon as possible. If your mother is resistant to a formal evaluation, conservatorship may be the most compassionate path forward. This will allow you to make medical and financial decisions in her best interest. While she still has some quality of life, I'm attaching a referral to Bernard Hastings, who specializes in conservatorship cases. Please tell him I sent you. Best regards, Dr. Raymond Patterson, MD. I stared at that email. Dr. Patterson had never met me, never examined me, Never spoken to me. But based on Sarah's lies, he'd recommended conservatorship. I googled Dr. Raymond Patterson. He was a geriatric psychiatrist in Palo Alto. His website featured a smiling elderly woman holding her granddaughter's hand. The tagline read, "Compassionate care for your aging loved ones." I clicked on services. The third item on the list, conservatorship medical evaluations, $500. He made $500 every time he helped a family take control of an elderly person's life. Asterisk. I clicked on the next email. June 2nd from Bernard Hastings to Sarah Mitchell Reynolds. Marcus Reynolds. Subject, conservatorship consultation. Mitchell Casa. Sarah and Marcus, thank you for meeting with me yesterday. Based on what you've shared, I believe we have a strong case for conservatorship of Grace Mitchell. California. Probate Code Section 1801 allows for conservatorship when a person is substantially unable to manage his or her own financial resources or resist fraud or undue influence. The evidence you've compiled, the timeline of declining cognitive function, the financial irregularities, the concerning nighttime behavior supports this claim. Our strategy will be as follows. 1. File a petition for conservatorship in Santa Clara County Superior Court to request an immediate temporary conservatorship to prevent your mother from making any major financial decisions like donating her estate while the case proceeds. 3. Hire a court-appointed evaluator. I recommend Dr. Lisa Chen. She's very thorough and understands the urgency in these cases. 4. Present your timeline and supporting evidence of the hiring timeline. 6 to 8 weeks from filing to final hearing. My fee, $15,000 retainer plus $450. Our total estimated cost, $25,000, $30,000. However, once conservatorship is established, all of my fees can be paid from your mother's estate, so you won't be paying out of pocket. Please let me know if you'd like to proceed. I have a court date available on June 20th. Best regards, Bernard Hastings. They were going to pay for this with my money. They were going to hire a lawyer to steal my house, and they were going to make me pay for the lawyer. Asterisk. I printed every email, every search query, every document. My printer ran for 47 minutes straight. Then I opened Google Calendar. Because if Sarah and Marcus have meetings scheduled, they'd be there. June 12th, 10 a.m. Bernard Hastings, conservatorship planning. June 15th to 30 p.m. Dr. Chen, court evaluator prep. June 20th, 9 a.m. Court SCC Superior Court room to 100 for 3 days. I had 3 days before they filed the petition. I picked up my phone, dialed a number I hadn't called in 5 years. Mitchell and Associates. How may I help you? Hi, this is Grace Mitchell. I need to speak with Jennifer Mitchell, please. Tell her it's her mother. One moment, my daughter Jennifer, my youngest, the one who'd moved to Portland and only called on holidays, picked up after 2 rings. Mom, is everything okay? You never call my work number. Jennifer, I need a lawyer. A good one. Do you still know that attorney from law school? The one who specialized in elder abuse? There was a long pause. Mom, what's going on? Your sister is trying to have me declared incompetent so she can steal my house. And I have documentation of everything. Another pause. Then, I'm on the next flight to San Jose. Don't talk to Sarah or Marcus until I get there. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to any doctor's appointments. Just sit tight. Jennifer? Yeah, Mom. Bring your laptop. I'm going to need help exporting about 400 pages of evidence from Google servers. She laughed. Jesus, Mom, you're terrifying. I love you. I'll be there by 8 p.m. Asterisk. Jennifer arrived at 7:43 p.m. with her laptop, a briefcase, and a man in a gray suit. Mom, this is Richard Chen. He's a partner at Morrison & Forster. He specializes in financial elder abuse and conservatorship fraud. Richard Chen was about 50, Asian American, with sharp eyes that reminded me of my old department chair, someone who didn't miss details. He shook my hand. Ms. Mitchell, Jennifer filled me in on the flight. Can I see the evidence? I gestured to my home office. I've printed everything, but I can also show you the live accounts. We spent the next 3 hours going through it. Every search query, every email, every manipulated entry in that goddamn timeline document. Richard took notes on a yellow legal pad. Barely spoke, just wrote and occasionally asked questions. When did you first discover this? Last night. Couldn't sleep. Logged into the admin console around 11:47 p.m. And you're the administrator of the family Google Workspace account? Yes, I set it up 3 years ago. Paid for it monthly. Did Sarah and Marcus know you had admin access? I paused. I showed them how the account worked when I set it up. But I don't think they ever asked about admin privileges. They just use it. Richard smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a smile of a lawyer who just found the key to his case. Ms. Mitchell, your daughter and son-in-law conducted their entire conspiracy using a digital platform. that you own and control. Every search, every email, every document, it's all admissible as evidence because you're the account administrator. Jennifer leaned forward. Is that legal? Can we use it in court? Not only can we use it, it's going to destroy their case. They've documented their own fraud in your mother's digital infrastructure. Asterisk. Richard looked at me. Ms. Mitchell, I need to ask you some questions. And I need you to answer honestly, because if there's anything in their timeline that's true, I need to know now. Ask, have you experienced any memory problems in the past 6 months? No. Any confusion about current events, dates, family members? No. Any difficulty managing your finances? I have $2.3 million in assets across 7 different accounts. I rebalance my portfolio quarterly. I coded my own Python script to track my net worth against market indices. Jennifer snorted. Mom's probably better with money than both of us combined. Richard made a note. Do you have any diagnosed medical conditions that could affect cognition? High blood pressure controlled with medication. That's it. Do you take any medications that could cause confusion or memory issues? Lisinopril, 10 milligrams daily. Standard blood pressure medication. No cognitive side effects. Would you be willing to undergo a comprehensive cognitive evaluation by a neuropsychologist of my choosing? Yes. Would you be willing to testify in court about what you've discovered? I looked at Richard Chen, then at Jennifer, then at the stack of printed emails on my desk. Mr. Chen, my daughter tried to steal my house by pretending I have dementia. She documented fake symptoms. She manipulated doctors. She consulted lawyers on how to take my life away from me. I leaned forward. I don't just want to testify. One want to destroy her case so completely that no judge in California will ever let her near an elderly person again. Richard smiled again. That sharp, legal smile. Ms. Mitchell, I think we're going to get along very well. June 12th, the lawyer meeting didn't let them know I knew. Jennifer and Richard's plan was simple. Let Sarah and Marcus proceed with their case. Let them file the petition. Let them bring their fake timeline and manipulated evidence to court. And then we bury them with their own Google searches. So on June 12th at 9:47 a.m., Sarah called me. Mom, how are you feeling today? I was in my office, looking at a screenshot of her email to Marcus from the night before. Meeting with Bernard tomorrow. After that, we file. This will all be over in 2 months. I'm fine, honey. Just reading. That's great, Mom. Listen, I'm in the neighborhood. Can I stop by? I want to check on you, of course, sweetheart. She arrived 20 minutes later with coffee and pastries from my favorite bakery. The good daughter. The concerned daughter. We sat at my kitchen table. She asked about my health, my sleep, whether I'd been taking my medications. I answered every question calmly. Gave her nothing. Mom, I've been thinking. You know, this house is a lot for you to manage by yourself. I managed just fine. I know. But what if something happened? What if you fell and couldn't reach your phone? I have an Apple Watch with fall detection. She blinked. Oh, right, that's great, Mom. She tried a different angle. Have you thought about what you want to do with the house? Long term, I mean. I'm going to die in this house, Sarah. I built it. I'm not going anywhere. Her smile tightened just slightly. Of course. I just meant, estate planning. Have you updated your will recently? There it was. The real question. My will is current. Jennifer helped me update it last year. I watched Sarah's face carefully. A tiny muscle near her I twitched. Jennifer? I didn't know she was involved in your finances. She's a lawyer, honey. Made sense to have her review everything. Sarah sipped her coffee. I could see her mind working, recalculating. That's good, Mom. I'm glad you have that sorted out. She left 30 minutes later. Kissed my cheek. Told me she loved me. I watched her drive away from my doorway window. Then I walked back to my office and checked the Google search history. June 12th, 10:47 a.m. Sarah's phone. Can sibling contest conservatorship? June 12th, 10:51 a.m. Sarah's phone. Jennifer Mitchell, lawyer, Portland, Oregon. She was already trying to figure out if Jennifer would be a problem. June 15th, Sarah and Marcus had a meeting, scheduled with Dr. Lisa Chen, the court-appointed evaluator that Bernard Hastings had recommended. Richard Chen, no relation, had a different plan. I've contacted Dr. Patricia Wong at Stanford Medical Center. She's one of the top neuropsychologists in the country. She's agreed to evaluate you tomorrow. What's the evaluation like? Comprehensive. 6 hours of cognitive testing, memory, reasoning, executive function, emotional regulation. She'll also review your medical history, interview you about your daily activities, and assess your functional capabilities. And if I pass? When you pass, Richard corrected, we'll have documentation from one of the most respected neuropsychologists in California stating that you have zero cognitive impairment. That alone will destroy Sarah's case. June 16th, the evaluationer. Patricia Wong was a small woman in her early 60s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Ms. Mitchell, I'm going to be honest with you. I reviewed the allegations in your daughter's preliminary filings. They're serious claims, I understand. I'm going to test you thoroughly. This isn't something I take lightly. I wouldn't want you to. We spent 6 hours in her office. Memory tests, pattern recognition, problem-solving tasks. She asked me to draw a clock, count backwards from 100 by sevens, recall a list of words after a delay. She asked me about my daily routine, my finances, my relationships. She asked me to describe the Python script I'd written for portfolio management. She asked me to explain how Google Workspace admin privileges work. R5. She leaned back in her chair and looked at me. Ms. Mitchell, can I speak candidly? Please, in 30 years of neuropsychological evaluation, I have never encountered someone your age with cognitive function this strong. Your memory is in the 96th percentile for your age group. Your reasoning and problem solving are in the 99th percentile. You have zero signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, or any other neurocognitive disorder. She paused. What your daughter is trying to do to you isn't just wrong. It's evil. June 20th. The court hearing. Richard filed an emergency motion to intervene in Sarah's conservatorship petition. We were granted a hearing for June 20th, the same day Sarah had planned to file. I wore a navy blue suit. Jennifer sat on my left. Richard sat on my right. Sarah and Marcus sat across the aisle with Bernard Hastings. Sarah's face went white when she saw me. Saw Jennifer. Saw Richard. The bailiff called the court to order. All rise for the Honorable Judge Margaret Russo. Judge Russo was in her late 50s, with steel gray hair and the expression of someone who'd seen every type of family dysfunction imaginable. I reviewed the petition for conservatorship filed by Sarah Mitchell Reynolds. She began. I've also reviewed the emergency motion to intervene filed by Grace Mitchell herself. She looked at me. Ms. Mitchell, you're the proposed conservatee. I stood. Yes, Your Honor. You don't look particularly incompetent to me. I'm not, Your Honor. Judge Russo's eyebrows rose. This should be interesting. Mr. Hastings, you filed first. Make your case. Bernard Hastings stood. He was a large man with an expensive suit and a voice that filled the courtroom. Your Honor, my clients have come to this court out of desperation and love for their mother. Grace Mitchell is a 68-year-old woman who is exhibiting clear signs of cognitive decline. He opened a folder. We have documentation spanning 6 weeks. Memory lapses, confusion about deceased family members, financial irregularities, nighttime wandering, classic symptoms of dementia. He submitted the timeline document. We have a letter from Dr. Raymond Patterson, a board-certified geriatric psychiatrist, recommending evaluation for conservatorship. He submitted Dr. Patterson's letter. Your Honor, this is about protection. Ms. Mitchell has significant assets, a home worth $2.8 million, substantial savings. Without conservatorship, she could be victimized by scammers, could mismanage her finances, could even harm herself. Judge Russo looked at the documents, then looked at me. Ms. Mitchell, how do you respond to these allegations? I stood. Your Honor, my daughter is lying. Every single entry in that timeline is either fabricated or deliberately misrepresented. I have proof. Richard stood. Your Honor, may I present evidence? Please. Richard walked to the court clerk, submitted a thick stack of documents. Your Honor, Grace Mitchell is a retired Stanford professor of computer science. 3 years ago, she set up a Google Workspace family account for herself, her children, and her grandchildren. He turned to face Sarah. What Ms. Mitchell's daughter didn't realize is that as the account administrator, Dr. Mitchell has access to all search history, emails, and documents created within that workspace. Sarah's face went from white to gray. Your Honor, I'm submitting printouts of Google search queries conducted by Sarah Mitchell Reynolds and Marcus Reynolds over the past 6 weeks. Judge Russo started reading. Her expression changed. How to declare someone mentally incompetent. 47 searches. She looked up at Sarah. Forging signature on legal documents penalty. How to forge signature without getting caught. Sarah started to stand. Bernard Hastings put a hand on her arm. Richard continued. Your Honor, I'm also submitting emails between Miss Sarah Mitchell Reynolds and her husband, in which they explicitly discussed their plan to gain conservatorship. In order to sell Dr. Mitchell's house, he quoted from the email, even after fees, we're looking at $2.3 million, split with your brother equals $1.15 million each. Emma's college fund solved. The courtroom was silent. Richard submitted more documents. This is a timeline that Ms. Mitchell Reynolds created, titled Mom's Decline. I've also submitted Dr. Mitchell's documentation of what actually occurred on each date. Judge Russo read through both. The real version versus the fabricated version. Your Honor, Richard said. Every single symptom in that timeline is either a lie or a deliberate misinterpretation of normal behavior. Dr. Mitchell has undergone a comprehensive neuropsychological evaluation by Dr. Patricia Wong at Stanford Medical Center. He submitted Dr. Wong's report. Dr. Wong's finding: 0 cognitive impairment, 96th percentile memory function, 99th percentile reasoning and problem solving for her age group. Judge Russo looked at Sarah, then at Marcus, then at Bernard Hastings. Mr. Hastings, did you verify any of the claims your clients made before filing this petition? Bernard Hastings looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Your Honor, I relied on the representations of my clients. The timeline they provided seemed thorough and detailed. The timeline was fraudulent. I was not aware of that at the time of filing. Judge Russo closed the folder, looked at Sarah. Double quotes. Ms. Mitchell Reynolds, stand up. Sarah stood. She was shaking. Ms. Mitchell Reynolds, you came into my courtroom and attempted to have your mother declared incompetent. Based on fabricated evidence, you created a false medical timeline. You consulted with doctors who never examined your mother. You planned to sell her home and profit from that sale. Judge Russo's voice was ice. You used the legal system as a tool for theft. You abused the conservatorship process designed to protect vulnerable elderly people to steal from your own mother. She turned to the court. Reporter, this petition for conservatorship is denied with prejudice. Furthermore, I am referring this case to the district attorney's office for investigation of potential elder abuse, fraud, and attempted theft. Sarah made us sound like a wounded animal. Judge Russo looked at me. Dr. Mitchell, I apologize on behalf of this court. You should never have been subjected to this. I nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. You're free to go. And may I suggest you change your Google password? The courtroom laughed. Even I smiled. Aftermath. Outside the courthouse, Sarah tried to approach me. Mom, please. Let me explain. I was just worried about you. I held up my hand. Sarah, you Googled how to forge my signature. You created a fake medical timeline. You calculated how much money you'd make from selling my house. Tears ran down her face. Mom, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. I was stressed about money. And Marcus said, don't blame Marcus. I saw your search history. 47 searches. That wasn't stress. That was planning. Jennifer stepped forward. Sarah, Mom doesn't want to talk to you right now. Maybe ever. Jennifer, please. She's your mother. And you tried to have her declared incompetent so you could steal her house. Sarah looked at me. Really looked at me. Maybe for the first time in years. Mom, I love you. Sarah, if you loved me, you wouldn't have Googled how to forge signature without getting caught. I walked away. Jennifer and Richard followed. Behind me, I heard Sarah sobbing. I didn't look back. 3 months later, district attorney filed charges. Elder abuse. Attempted fraud. Sarah took a plea deal, 2 years probation, $50,000 fine, mandatory counseling. Marcus got the same. Bernard Hastings was referred to the California State Bar for ethics violations. Dr. Raymond Patterson lost his medical license. I changed all my passwords. Removed Sarah and Marcus from the Google Workspace family account. Jennifer moved back to San Jose. We have dinner every Tuesday night. I'm still in my house. The house I designed. The house I built. The house I'll die in, and every night before I go to sleep, I log into my Google admin console. Not because I'm paranoid, because I'm vigilant. Because I learned something important during all of this. The same technology that people use to plan your destruction can be used to document it. Every search leaves a trail. Every email leaves evidence. Every lie recorded in the cloud. Sarah forgot I taught computer science for 33 years. She forgot I understand networks and servers and data retention policies. She forgot that in the digital age, nothing is ever truly deleted, and she forgot the most important thing. I'm the administrator. I see everything. 2 weeks after the court case, I got an email. Not through the family Google account. This one came to my personal Stanford email. From Emma Reynolds, my granddaughter, to Grace Mitchell. Subject: I'm sorry, Grandma Grace. I just found out what Mom and Dad tried to do to you. I'm 17. So they didn't tell me anything about the legal stuff they were handling. They just said you were sick and might have to move to a care facility. I'm so sorry. I can't believe they did that. I'm embarrassed and disgusted that I know you probably don't want to see any of us ever again. But I want you to know, I'm not like them. I'm going to major in computer science, just like you. And I'm going to learn everything you know. Because if anyone ever tries to hurt me with technology, I want to be able to fight back the way you did. I love you. And I'm proud to be your granddaughter. I read that email 3 times. Then I replied, Emma, Come over for dinner next Tuesday. Bring your laptop. I'll teach you Python. And I'll teach you something more important. How to protect yourself in a world where everyone leaves digital footprints. Love, Grandma Grace.